guys, welcome back. Today I'm here to share with you all of the 2020 arcs that I have to read so far. So I put up a poll on YouTube community and a lot of you seemed like you'd be very interested in seeing this video. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of the 2020 arcs that I currently have on my TBR. This is physical arcs that I have in my possession, and I think I'll also talk about the Netgalley arcs that I currently have to read. This will not include other things that I am interested in reading or hoping to read. I know I have some other things on their way to me, but because they're not here yet, they're not going to be in this video. And which is probably fine, because as it is, this is going to be kind of a long one. I am mostly going to be dividing this up by release month, but before I get into that, I am going to start off with the two books that I have read or am currently reading that are 2020 releases. First, I have the one 2020 book that I have finished reading already. This is a March release, and that is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. I love this. I talk about it in my November wrap-up if you want to hear my thoughts on it, but I think this is going to be a huge hit. It's something different than what we've gotten from Marie Lu in the past. This is historical fiction with a fantasy element, all about the sister of Mozart, and it is beautiful. It's about a sibling relationship. I definitely would recommend checking it out. And then I am currently reading a February release. This is The Stars We Steal by Alexa Dunn, and so far I'm really enjoying it. This is Jane Austen's Persuasion meets The Bachelor in space, and I am here for it so far. I'm enjoying it. I'm about 50 pages in, and I will let you guys know what I think once I'm done with it. Alright, moving on, let's talk about the January releases. Unsurprisingly, there are kind of a lot of them. Like, I may kind of have more January books than I'm going to be able to get to, but I'm going to share them, and I'm going to start off with the Netgalley arcs that I have for January. The first one I am currently reading, and that is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This is a contemporary YA romance, and so far it's really cute. I've heard a lot of great things about it, and I'm actually going to be on the blog tour for that one in January. That one releases January 21st. Then I have an arc of The Country Guesthouse by Robyn Carr. This one releases on January 7th, and this is kind of a romance slash women's fiction. It's a small town sweet romance. I have read one other book in this series by her and enjoyed it, and so I'm looking forward to this one. I also think I'm going to be sent a finished copy closer to publication date. Also coming out on January 7th is The Night Country by Melissa Albert. This is the follow-up to The Hazelwood, which I really loved. It's a little bit of a polarizing book. People kind of love it or hate it. I was a big fan. This is, I think, the sequel, and while I don't think it needed a sequel, I liked the first one enough that I'm curious to see where this one goes. Then releasing January 28th is Don't Read the Comments by Eric Smith. This is a YA contemporary that follows two teenagers who are into gaming, and it deals with doxing. So I'm definitely interested to see what it has to say on that topic, and I think it's going to be an interesting one. I tend to like books about gamers and gaming. And the final e-arc that I have, also releasing on January 28th, is Diamond City by Francesca Flores. This is coming out through St. Martin's Press, and I've been hearing quite a bit of buzz about this one. This is a YA urban fantasy following a girl who is a female assassin and uses blood magic. It seems like it's got anti-heroes and gray morality. I think it's going to be a fun one. Moving on, I have a giant stack of physical arcs that are coming out in January. Yeah, this might be a little overkill. Will I get to all of these? I don't know, but we're going to see what we can do. I may actually try to pick up a couple of these ones in December. The first one I have is one sent to me from Harlequin. This is The Little Bookshop on the Seine by Rebecca Raisin. It's coming out on January 7th, and this is more of a women's fiction romance story. It says it's the holiday meets the Champs-Élysées in a great big love letter to Paris, charming old bookstores, and happily ever afters. Also releasing in January, we have A Queen in Hiding by Sarah Kozloff. This is an interesting one. It is a adult high fantasy coming out through Tor, and one book in the series is going to be releasing each month between January and April. So if you're looking for a kind of classic high fantasy series with a queen in hiding who needs to retake her throne, and you want a series that you can binge pretty quickly one after another, this might be one worth checking out. Next we have the highly anticipated fantasy debut of a much beloved speculative author. This is Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera. He is known for writing kind of sad, queer, Latinx, speculative fiction. This is his first dive into fantasy, and I am definitely interested to see how this one goes. It is releasing on January 20th. Then we have another YA contemporary romance. This is How to Speak Boy by Tiana Smith. This one is coming out through Swoon Reads, and it features a boy and girl who have been fierce speech and debate rivals, and romance that develops between them. Next we have one of my most anticipated January releases, and this is one that I'm hoping to pick up in December. This is Dark and Deepest Red by Anna-Marie Mclemore. I adore Anna-Marie Mclemore. This is a reimagining of the sort of dancing shoes mythology. I think it's going to be dark. They write the most beautiful, heart-wrenching stories, which I usually am not that into, but if it's Anna-Marie Mclemore, I am here for it. I'm very, very excited to pick this one up. Then we have another one that I am super intrigued by. This is Burn the Dark by S.A. Hunt. This is their traditional debut, also coming out through Tor in January. This is an adult title that follows a girl who has a YouTube channel where she hunts witches, and she's got lots of followers, but then it turns out that maybe it's not fake, it's real. I don't know. I'm super intrigued. Anything about YouTubers I find interesting, and yeah, this one looks dark and awesome. Next we have a YA sci-fi that I'm very intrigued by. This is Rogue Princess by B.R. Meyers. This is another Swoon Reads title, and it is a gender-swapped YA sci-fi retelling of Cinderella. I kind of love sci-fi retellings of fairy tales. I mean, obviously The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer is a great one, but I'm into this, and look at that cover, it's awesome. Another one that I'm hoping to at least start in December is The Bard's Blade by Brian D. Anderson. This is another case of an indie author having his first traditionally published debut. This one is also coming out through Tor, and it is another sort of more traditional high fantasy story that just sounds like it's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to picking it up. Then we have a Tor.com novella. This is Riot Baby by Tochi Onyebuchi. I am excited to try this one out. This is his adult debut. He's written other YA books in the past, but this is an urban fantasy with a bit of magic that deals with racism and resistance, and hopefully it's good. It's a short little book, so hoping to get to that one relatively soon as well. And the final arc that I have for January is a very anticipated YA release. This is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. This is the first in a YA duology that is a gender-swapped retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo. So there you go. Those are all the January releases. Now let's talk about February. Okay, so again, I have a lot in February. I need to stop requesting things, but I have 6 e-arcs from Netgalley. On February 4th, we're getting Scammed by Kristen Simmons. This is the follow-up to The Deceivers, which I read and definitely enjoyed. I think it's interesting about a girl who goes to a school for con artists. These books are also getting a cover change, and in this case, I think it's probably a good one. I don't know that the original cover was doing much for it, and so I think they're hoping that this is going to reach a wider audience. I'm excited to see where book 2 goes. Also coming out on February 4th is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. This is a debut YA contemporary novel about 2 boys falling in love when their lives are uprooted because of their parents' involvement in a NASA mission to Mars. And this is recommended for fans of Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. I've also met this author. He seems super nice. It is Own Voices for the Gay Representation. Then on February 18th, we have one that I think is going to be super cute. This is Of Curses and Kisses by Sandhya Menon. She is the author of When Dimple Met Rishi, and this one is the start of a brand new series set at an elite boarding school. This one is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I am so here for it. And then finally releasing on February 21st is Untamed Shore by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is her first adult thriller set in Mexico. It is also a coming-of-age story and has some dark things to it. This is a little outside of my normal wheelhouse, but I love Silvia Moreno Garcia as an author and really wanted to support her work, and so I'm excited to check out this book. For February physical arcs, this is what I have. It is a slightly smaller stack, so let's go through these. The first one is a novel by a Belgian author that is being translated into English for the first time. This is Real Life by Adeline Dieudonné. This is coming out on February 4th, and it is a domestic thriller that sounded interesting. This was sent to me by World Editions, who is the publisher. If I can find a picture of the actual cover, I will put it up here because this one didn't have it when I got it. Next is one that I'm very, very excited to have and pick up. This is Red Hood by Alana K. Arnold. This one is coming out on February 20th. She is the author of Damsel, which is a very polarizing book, but one that I loved. She writes very dark feminist YA books. And this one says that it is a blood-drenched tale of the familiar threats to female power and one girl's journey to regain it. Definitely interested to try that one out. Next is a book that was sent to me from Sourcebooks Fire and is a standalone fantasy, which is exciting. This is Belle Révoltée by Lindsay Miller. This one is by the author of the Mask of Shadows duology, and it says it is a standalone fantasy where two young women must trade lives, work together to stay alive, and end a war caused by magic and greed. It sounds really interesting, and I think this one also includes a female-female romance. Next, I have one that I'm going to try out. An earlier book by this couple didn't really work so well for me, but I'm curious to try something else from them because I know that a lot of people really love them. This is Daughter from the Dark by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko, translated by Julia Maitov-Hersey. This one is coming out on February 20th. And it says that this is a story about creation, music, and companionship filled with hallmark elements of subtle magic and fantasy. Their stuff is a little bit dark, and I had some issues with Vita Nostra, which I know a lot of people really love. There were a couple specific things that I had a hard time with in that one, but I am interested to perhaps pick this one up and give it a try and see if I do better with it. Next, I have a middle grade book. I think this is the first middle grade book that we've gotten in this video. This is Gloomtown by Ronald L. Smith. I really love the cover of this. I think the artwork is super adorable. This is about a boy who takes a job at a spooky mansion and finds out that something weird is going on, and him and his best friend have to work together to uncover what's really happening. Yeah, this just sounds super cute. It goes on sale February 11th. And the final February release that I have is Mazes of Power by Juliet Wade. This one goes on sale February 4th, and it says it is a debut work of sociological science fiction that follows a deadly battle for succession where brother is pitted against brother in a singular chance to win power and influence for their family. So, sounds like it's got some potential. Moving on, let's talk about March. For March, I only currently have one Netgalley ARC, and that is Anna K by Jenny Lee. I'm actually going to be reading this one in December as a buddy read, but it comes out March 3rd. This is a contemporary YA retelling of Anna Karenina, and so far I've heard good things about it. I am curious to see how I feel. In terms of physical ARCs, I have a nice stack here, and these are all ones that I'm actually pretty excited about. The first one is an adult horror novel, which is not something I usually read a whole lot of, but this sounds super interesting. It is The Return by Rachel Harrison. This goes on sale March 24th, and this one is a debut novel. It says it's about a group of friends that reunite after one of them returns from a mysterious 2-year disappearance. So it's a more feminist horror novel about female friendship, and I don't know, it sounds very, very intriguing. Next is a YA anthology that I am very excited to pick up. This is A Phoenix First Must Burn, 16 Stories of Black Girl Magic, Resistance, and Hope, edited by Patrice Caldwell. This is a collection of 16 stories that explores the Black experience through fantasy, sci-fi, and magic, and it has some really amazing authors in it, including people like Elizabeth Acevedo, Samaya Dawood, Charlotte Nicole Davis, Justina Ireland, Daniel Clayton, Daniel Page, L.L. McKinney, Rebecca Roanhorse, E.B. Zaboy, some really great people, so I'm very excited to check this one out. Coming out on March 3rd is a debut YA contemporary that sounds really great. This is Salty Bittersweet by Mayra Cuevas. This is coming out through the Blink imprint, and it is a coming-of-age story about a teen girl who is an aspiring chef. It is own voices for Latinx representation, and it also explores having a family that's kind of falling apart. I am hopeful that this one will be really great. Also coming out in March is a book that we now have a finished cover for, so I will put a picture up if I have it, but this is The Vanishing Deep by Astrid Schultz. This one is a thrilling adventure in a world where the dead can be revived for a price. It's about a girl who lives in a water world where things have been destroyed by water. There's some mystery elements to it, some sci-fi elements to it. I'm interested to see what she does in her second book. Four Dead Queens was her debut, and there were things that I really liked about it, things that weren't perfect. I'm very interested to see what she does with Vanishing Deep. Next we have one that sounds really amazing, and also we have a different cover now, and I definitely prefer the new cover, but this is Havenfall by Sarah Holland. This one is coming out March 3rd through Bloomsbury. I'll put up a picture of the other cover because I really like it a lot. This is the start of a new contemporary fantasy series that's more magical realism, and it's set in the mountains of Colorado. I'm very, very interested to see where this goes. It looks amazing, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the final March release is another one I'm really excited to get to. This is Wicked As You Wish by Rin Chupeco, the first book in the 100 Names for Magic series. This one goes on sale March 3rd, and it was sent to me by Sourcebooks Fire. It says that this is an alternative history fairy tale series about found family, modern day magic, and finding the place that you belong. I think this is going to be awesome. Rin Chupeco wrote the Bone Witch trilogy, and she is an author from the Philippines. Okay, moving on, let's talk about April. Currently, I do not have any Netgalley ARCs for April, but I do have some physical ARCs to share. I have two graphic novels. The first one is Witchlight by Jessie Zabarski. Witchlight is a YA graphic novel about love, loss, and witches. Sounds like fun. And then I also have an adult graphic novel. This is The Labyrinth, an existential odyssey with Jean-Paul Sartre. And this is part of a series of graphic novels that are introduction to philosophers, which sounds like an interesting project. Moving on is one that looks like a whole lot of fun. This is Girls Save the World in this one by Ash Parsons. This is about three girl best friends who go to ZombieCon, a convention about zombies, when there's a real world zombie outbreak and the girls have to save the world. This sounds right up my alley. It's a YA book, and I think it's going to be a blast. Next, we have a YA debut coming out through Abrams Books. This is Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. It is a African-inspired fantasy novel that sounds really interesting, and the tagline says, "What if you've sworn to protect the one you were born to destroy?" Definitely intriguing. Then going on sale April 7th, we have Bonds of Brass by Emily Skretsky. It says, a young pilot risks everything to save his best friend, the man he trusts most and might even love, only to learn that he's secretly the heir to a brutal galactic empire. So this, I think, is the start of a trilogy, and it's going to be a queer space opera, which sounds pretty awesome. Then we have a debut YA memoir that I'm definitely excited to pick up. This is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnston. This is a memoir about what it's like to grow up black and queer in America, and the cover is stunning. I think this is going to be a good one. And finally, I have a book coming out April 7th. This is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. So this is actually own voices for the Native American representation, which a lot of people I think have been kind of put off by this, but it is own voices, and it is a adult horror novel. It says, the creeping horror of Paul Tremblay meets Tommy Orange's There There in a dark novel of revenge, cultural identity, and the cost of breaking from tradition in the latest novel from the Jordan Peele of horror literature, Stephen Graham Jones. So yeah, definitely interested in picking that one up. It sounds intriguing. All right, moving on, let's talk about May. And of course, guys, there's going to be more books added to these lists, especially for April and May. More will be coming, but this is what I have currently, and we'll see if I'm able to get to all of this. I'm going to do my best. For May, I currently have two Netgalley ARCs. The first one goes on sale May 5th. This is Lobizona by Romina Garber. It is a YA story coming out through St. Martin's Press that just sounded really intriguing. It says it is the first in the Wolves of No World series, where the author weaves together Argentine folklore and what it means to be illegal in a timely, intimate, and emotionally powerful narrative. So this just kind of jumped out at me as something that sounded interesting. It's a fantasy story that deals with more realistic themes, so I'm excited to check that one out. And the other ARC I have for May is a pretty cute looking YA contemporary romance. This is Date Me, Bryson Keller by Kevin Van Wy. This one goes on sale May 19th, and it says it's a upbeat and heartfelt boy meets boy romance that feels like a modern twist on a 90s rom-com. Bryson Keller is a popular boy who has a dare where every week he has to date someone new, the first person to ask him out on Monday morning. So one week a boy asks him out and he says yes because of the dare, and clearly he's straight, right? Maybe not. This just looks super adorable, and I'm hoping that it's a good one. This is my little stack of May releases. 3 of them are graphic novels, so I don't have a whole lot for May at this point. First I have Stepping Stones by Lucy Knisley. This is a middle grade graphic novel that just looked kind of cute. I picked this one up at New York City Comic Con. Next is Fire on the Water by Scott McGregor. This one looked really interesting. It's inspired by a true life tragedy. It says, a tale of heroism and invention in the tunnels beneath Lake Erie set in 1916. It is historical fiction that sheds light on one of America's earliest man-made ecological disasters, but also on racism and the economic disparity between classes in the Midwest. Definitely sounds interesting. And the final graphic novel I have is, I think, a shorter YA one. This is A Gift for a Ghost by Borja Gonzalez. It says, an untalented punk band and a parallel dimension. What could go wrong? This follows 2 parallel stories. One of them is set in 1856 with a young aristocrat who is more interested in writing avant-garde horror poetry than making a suitable marriage. And then in 2016, 3 teenage girls who want to start a punk band called the Black Holes. And there's some kind of a haunting happening, so that sounds interesting. Next we have kind of a sci-fi thriller. This is The Mother Code by Carol Stevers. This one goes on sale May 5th. It's really interesting sounding. I read the first little bit of it when I first got it. It's about what it means to be human and what it means to be a mother in a debut novel where people have stopped being able to have babies, and so they craft these artificial intelligence androids to carry, give birth to, and nurture the last human children. Definitely sounds like an interesting one. And the final May release that I have currently is Stealing Thunder by Alina Boyden. This goes on sale May 12th, and I am really interested to pick this up. This is an adult high fantasy novel about a trans princess, and it is own voices for the trans woman representation. It says, dragons, politics, and a kick-ass trans protagonist. Stealing Thunder really has it all, so I think this one is going to be a whole lot of fun. Okay, and then finally I have 2 books to talk about for summer of 2020. Not a whole lot happening there quite yet, but 2 that I'm excited about. I do have an e-arc on Netgalley for a book coming out July 7th. This is Unravel the Dusk by Elizabeth Lim. It is the sequel to Spin the Dawn, which is a Asian-inspired YA fantasy that I read last year and really enjoyed, and I'm excited to see the story continue. So I requested that one. I am planning on reading it via Netgalley. And the final book that we have to talk about in this very long video that is making me realize how much reading I have ahead of me in the coming months already. Oh guys, gosh, seriously. But this is a book I am very, very excited for. This is Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. This is another one that we do now have a cover for, which I will put up. It is beautiful. I am really excited to pick this one up. They are calling this Moulin Rouge meets The Phantom of the Opera. I know that Alexa Loves Books read this and really loved it, which made me want to give it a try. So I'm excited to read this. Hopefully it will be a whole lot of fun. This one is coming out in summer of 2020. So there you go. Those are all of the 2020 releases that are currently on my TBR. I really need to get reading, guys, but I'm excited about a lot of these. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming out next year, and hopefully they don't disappoint. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on any of the books that I talked about today. And for your question of the day, tell me 1 or more of these books that you are most excited to read or most interested to hear me review. Like maybe if there's something you're on the fence about and you kind of want to hear about first, what are the books that you're really interested to hear my thoughts on? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.